Hi everybody, this is Old Man Minecrafting and thank you for joining for another SlimeFun tutorial. Hopefully we'll learn something together and let's get into it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about energy within SlimeFun. We're going to require a lot of things that require energy, so as we get going we're going to want to get as much energy as we can. The first logical one to make is the coal generator. It's relatively cheap. I showed that in the last video. Relatively cheap to make. It takes a couple steps if you're just getting started. But overall, it's the easiest and most logical because you have coal around theoretically to get your first energy going. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set our coal generator down. Now, coal generator, just trust me on this. This thing is going to take in energy. Right now, the coal generator is generating absolutely nothing. And the reason for that is because our energy system needs an energy regulator. It's the brain, but it's also the thing that says, okay, we're going to have an energy system. You can put things that require electricity all over this thing. This is not going to generate any electricity without this energy regulator. The energy regulator does require quite a bit of materials to make, including an electric motor. If you've already made some electric motors, hopefully you have more on hand. So fairly easy to make, and it's absolutely required. So, okay, so we're going to set our energy regulator down, but there's limits to how far electricity can travel. It does travel semi-wirelessly, but it needs checkpoints to keep going. So I can go up to 7 blocks away from the coal generator, and then it will begin. But if I put my anything 7 blocks away, it's not going to connect to this. So I'm going to right click on that, throw some coal in here. It should now be making some electricity, but it's not making electricity because this is not connected. So we need our energy regulator to be within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. And now it'll connect. So our energy regulator is now connected to this coal generator, which is 7 blocks away, and it's making 64 joules of electricity. Okay, so energy regulator is absolutely required. And now that we have that set up, now we can connect our electricity using a few different ways, but I personally love to use these capacitors. They're a little more expensive to make and actually require an energy connector, but the energy connector doesn't give us much information. So the other thing I forgot to mention is this has to be in a straight line. So this straight line can go this direction, can go that direction, or this direction. Either way, it's going to connect as long as, oh, I think I put that in the wrong block. As long as it's within 7 blocks. So it can go any direction. It can also go upwards. So electricity can also travel vertically. I've said before, I'm in creative just to show you guys what this is about. So it will go up 7 units as well. And now it's connected to that coal generator down below. But everything in SlimeFun, the cargo and the electricity is going to be in straight lines. You can't go diagonally. So if I put this off here diagonally, even though it's only 1.5 blocks away, it's not going to connect. It has to be in that straight line. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to put up is an energy connector. So if I put my energy connector here, it's connecting to here, but it doesn't really give us any information. But this is just like a wire that carries electricity. So now the electricity has gone from there to here. And now I can go in any straight. I can go up, I can go that direction, I can go this direction, I can go this direction. So I'm going to put my energy regulator. I guess I lied. This is actually not making any electricity because it's not connected to an energy regulator. So I need to connect an energy regulator to the system before any electricity begins. But as you see, I've gone in a straight line from here, this direction. So now this is connected. So now I can go in a straight line from here, any direction. One thing that sometimes when you have a lot of things, you're going to put a few of these in a row, and then you can make your electricity go out. This is the reason why I like the capacitors. This is going to take a few seconds to charge, but as you watch these, they'll fill up with electricity. They're actually storing electricity, but it's a nice indicator that, hey, this is actually connected. This energy connector doesn't give you any information. You can right click on it and it'll tell you it's connected. But I really like to use these capacitors because it tells us with a nice, easy, big green light that says, hey, I'm connected. You see these starting to fill up. And as they do fill up, right, you realize that they're connected. So again, from here, I cannot go diagonally. This is not going to connect at all. This one will do absolutely nothing. But I can come this direction. I can come that direction. You can go any direction you want as long as it's in a straight line. And again, that includes going vertically as well. So these capacitors will also act like these connectors. So I can put a capacitor here, move several blocks. If I was being very conservative, I would count my blocks out, but just as a demonstration. So this is actually getting electricity. It just hasn't filled up yet. Let me break these. These ones are busy filling up right now. So now you'll see this one starts to fill up. I'm going to go down a few more blocks. This one starts to fill up. I'm going to come down a few more blocks and this will fill up. So you can use, again, energy connectors. I'll break that one. I'll put an energy connector and you'll see that these are still connected through the energy connector. So that's how electricity works. Basically, you want to stay within 7 blocks of whatever your last connection is. And it just works like wireless wires. So they have to travel in a straight line. One thing I didn't show you was, so let's say I want to put a capacitor here. It's going to need that one on the bottom, because if I break this one on the bottom, this is no longer in a straight line with my last connection. These aren't connected anymore, but this is not touching this because it's 1 block higher. So that's not considered in a straight line. That's a diagonal. One thing you might notice is these capacitors over here still have electricity. They're not receiving energy right now, but they have stored electricity. So these capacitors will take energy in and store that electricity. So those are not connected currently. They just have electricity in them. So I'm going to break these, make sure I'm in a straight line, and I'll put this down. This will not fill up with electricity because it is not connected, because this is too far away. This is not in line, and that's how electricity works. So hopefully this made sense. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down in the comments. I think electricity is pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes it can be a little confusing. There's been a few times where I've broken a capacitor or a connector and just could not figure out where I went wrong because something was not receiving electricity. And that was kind of where I decided I wanted to make sure I started to use capacitors all the time, because that just, I guess for us dummies, for dummies like me, it's going to make things a lot easier, because it'll show a big green light and then I'll say, oh, I can see that's working. So this should be working right now. That's connected. That's connected. This should fill up with electricity at some point here. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about how much electricity you're going to require. This coal generator early on will be adequate for some of the first machines that you make, but you're going to want to make sure that you get things that carry a lot of electricity. Okay, so we have one coal generator right now. Right now it has no fuel in it, so it's creating 0 joules and it's holding on to 0 joules. So when we look at the coal generator, it generates 16 joules per second and it holds on to 64 joules. So that buffer allows you to, if you run out of fuel, it'll still run until that 64 joules has been used. 64 joules is not a lot of energy, but in the early game, it's something at least. So I'm going to throw some coal in this, and this is going to show how this works. So I'm going to throw some coal in here. It should create 64 joules, but it's creating 16 joules per second. So if you noticed, it went up by 8 every half a second. So I said earlier, my server runs 2 ticks per second. So it went 16 because it's still making 16 joules per second, no matter how many ticks it's on. Okay, so we've made that first one. Now here's an interesting, I think this is a bug. I'm going to stack my coal generator, and then my energy is going to go up. So this is making 64, this is making 64. We have 128. The one thing that is a little bit strange is that there's no fuel in this. I don't think it's actually a bug. I think it's just collecting that 64 because it can hold on to 64 joules. So if I was using electricity, this is the only one that's actually producing energy. So I'll only be producing 16 joules per second because this one has no coal in it. It will, however, hold on to that energy. So if I put more coal generators on here, and you'll notice it's still only going up by 8 per second. So it's going up 8 joules per second because these last three are not generating anything. This is the only one that's generating, but these last three will hold on to the energy in their buffer. So it'll hold 64, 64, 64. My math's not good. Am I missing one for some reason? So now if I throw this in, I'm going to up my energy increase, and I'm going to increase my storage. So anyway, I hope that all makes sense. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I learned about the buffering of the coal generators. So if you learned something, please like and subscribe and come back for another video. Next, we'll be going over cargo and how you can move a lot of objects around within SlimeFun automatically. Hope you learned something and have a great day and happy crafting.